Okay, so the quadratic formula is this formula here. So if you have a standard quadratic function, we call it ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. It needs to be set equal to 0 first. And a is just whatever number is in front of the x squared. B is whatever number is in front of just the x in that middle term. And c is your last term, that's just a number. Then to get your solutions, all you have to do is plug in those numbers for a, b, and c into this formula, where x is equal to, now this is where we got a long formula, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, and then all of that divided by 2 times a. Okay? Long formula, but all we have to do is find a, b, and c and plug them into this formula, and it will always work. Okay? But, like we said, that's a long formula, a lot of stuff. So when the best time to use this is when factoring doesn't work. You can use factoring, but if factoring won't work, you can always use this formula as a backup. It will always give you the solutions. Unless you do the math wrong. But there's times when you can't factor this to find the solutions, right? But there could still be solutions to it. We don't know that there's not. So we can use this formula to find the solutions. So just looking at the first set of examples, we're just going to find a, b, and c here. So pretty straightforward. That's all we're doing first. So in part A, we want to find a, b, and c. So a is the number in front of x squared. What's the number for a here? 2. What's my b? 8. And what's my c? 1. Straightforward, right? I would take 2, 8, and 1, plug them in for a, b, and c into the formula. On b, does that look weird? Does it look the same as a? Part A. No, it doesn't. Why not? There's a 9 on the other side. What do we want it to be equal to before we start? 0. So let's move that 9 over so we can rewrite this as r squared minus 18r minus 9 equals 0. To move the 9 over, we have to subtract it. So now it looks like my standard quadratic function. So I'm going to write my a, b, and c. A is the number in front of x squared, or in this case in front of r squared. What number is in front of r squared? 1. There's no number there, but we can assume we can just put a 1 there. Okay, what's my b? Negative 18. And my c is negative 9. Right? Straightforward enough. Just finding a, b, and c. Okay, last one, part c. We have 3z squared minus 15 equals 0. It's already equal to 0. That's what we wanted, right? Okay, so let's find our a, b, and c. A is the number in front of x squared, or in this case z squared. So what's my a? 3. What's in front of z in this one? Do you see a z there? No. But like, we put a 1 in front of z, we would have 1z, but is there a 1z there? No, we could rewrite this as 3z squared plus 0z minus 15. And would we be changing the equation at all? No, so b is just 0 in this case. And then our c is negative 15. Okay? So, go ahead and move on to example 2 and just write to the side a, b, and c for both of those problems. Today, you ready?
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
Okay, 2 examples. First thing I'm going to do is copy down the formula. Okay? Tomorrow, we may teach you a song, a way to remember this formula. But for today, in my head, every time I write it down, I sing it. So tomorrow we may sing.
Can you just like give us a preview?
Do you sing it when you write it down?
No, well, in my head.
Yeah.
It never comes out of my mouth.
Every time. It sometimes is. Okay, moving on. So, here's the formula. I can just recite it because whenever I was your age, I learned the song. So if I teach you the song, you learn it. But you can also look at the top of the page, copy it down. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over, so a big dividing fraction sign, 2a. That's not the song, but the reason I know how to write this is because in my head the song is playing. Yeah.
That's not a good song.
Just wait for it. Okay, so stay with me. We're going to get through this and you'll have time to get started. My a, b, and c I have here, I'm just going to plug those in for a, b, and c into my formula. So x equals negative b, so negative 7, plus or minus, leave the plus or minus in there until the very end, and then the square root of b squared, so 7 squared, minus 4 times 2 for a, times negative 9 for c, and all of that is over 2 times a, which is 2. Okay? Are you looking at the inside square root? Look at your signs when you multiply. Okay? So, next thing we're going to do is simplify, and the first thing I want to simplify is what's in that square root. Because there's a lot of stuff in there right now. So, I want to multiply first, and then I'll subtract at the very end. So, I'm going to write this as negative 7 plus or minus, and then in that square root, what is 7 squared?
49.
49. And then I will have negative 4 times 2 times negative 9. You can plug that into your calculator. Or do it in your head. 4 times 2 is 8, times 9 is 72. But what's my sign going to be? Negative or positive? Look at it closely.
Negative.
I have minus 4, but then that's times negative 9. So the negative and the minus cancel out and become plus 72. Guys, need to be with me, okay? A little too much talking going on. Alright, so you see why that is plus 72. I had the minus 4 times negative 9. So those cancel out and become plus 72. And all of that, the whole thing, is divided by 2 times 2, which is 4. Alright, so I want to keep simplifying what's in the square root there. So I have negative 7 plus or minus the square root of, what's 49 plus 72? 121 over 4.
Can you make that plus negative sign on your calculator?
No, we just have to do it 2 times. Alright, the square root of 121 is 11, so I'm going to rewrite up here, okay? So I have negative 7 plus or minus 11 over 4. Can I simplify that any further without dealing with that plus or minus sign? No. So now, I'm going to...
Wait, what do you mean without dealing with that plus or minus?
I'm going to show you right now, okay? What it says, whenever, just like when I square root 16 and I get plus or minus 4, I have to use it with plus 4 and do it with minus 4. So here I'm going to write it twice. Negative 7 plus 11 over 4 and negative 7 minus 11 over 4. There's where that plus and minus gives me my 2 different solutions. Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
Right, so now I can just solve each one of those. Negative 7 plus 11 is 4 over 4, which gives me a solution of 1. And over here, negative 7 minus 11 is negative 18 over 4, which gives me a solution of negative 4.5, right? Negative 4.5. So I still get 2 solutions, 1 and negative 4.5 for x. Okay. Question